The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful kind you get on a Sunday afternoon after church, when the windows are open and the breeze moves softly through the curtains. No, this was a different silence. Heavy. Closed. The kind that tells you something isn't right before you even know what it is. I stood on my own front porch with my purse hanging from my arm and my Bible tucked under it, staring at the front door of the house I had lived in for 38 years. Then I slid my key into the lock. It didn't turn. At first I thought maybe I was tired. My hands aren't as steady as they used to be, and sometimes the old brass lock sticks. So I pulled the key out, wiped it against the side of my skirt, and tried again. The key slid in perfectly, but the lock didn't move. I frowned and leaned closer, squinting at the handle. That's when I noticed it. The lock wasn't mine. My heart gave a small, strange flutter in my chest. I stepped back slowly, looking at the door more carefully. The handle was shinier than I remembered. Newer. The brass looked untouched by years of fingerprints. Someone had changed the lock. On my house. For a moment, I just stood there listening to the quiet street. Somewhere down the block, a lawnmower hummed, and a dog barked lazily from behind a fence. Everything around me looked exactly the same, except the one place that mattered. I knocked. Hello. I called through the door. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. A minute later, I heard footsteps inside. Slow ones. Then the soft scrape of the deadbolt. The door opened just a few inches. And there she was. My daughter-in-law, Melissa. Her hair was tied back in a loose bun, and she was wearing one of my kitchen aprons, the blue one with the little embroidered flowers I bought years ago at a church fair. She looked at me the way a stranger looks at someone knocking on the wrong house. "Oh," she said flatly. "You're back." I blinked. "Melissa, my key isn't working." "Yes," she said calmly. "We changed the locks yesterday." For a moment, I thought maybe I had misheard her. "You changed the locks?" She opened the door a little wider, but didn't step aside. "You should have told us what time you'd be home," she said. "Ryan and I were just about to start lunch." Ryan. My son. The boy I carried for 9 months and raised in this very house. I tried to smile, though my stomach felt tight. "Well, sweetheart, could you unlock it then? My key obviously doesn't work anymore." Melissa crossed her arms lightly against the apron. And that was the moment something cold settled quietly in my chest. Because she didn't move. Instead, she said something I still remember word for word. "We thought it would be better if you didn't have a key anymore." The breeze shifted behind me, stirring the maple tree in the front yard. "I don't understand." She shrugged. "Ryan will explain when he gets home." Then she closed the door. Just like that. The click of the new lock echoed through the wood. And I stood on my own porch like a visitor who had knocked on the wrong house. 3 months earlier, none of this seemed possible. Back then, the house still felt like a home. My husband, Daniel, had built most of it himself. Not the foundation, of course, but the little things that made it ours. The shelves in the hallway. The wide wooden porch swing. The garden boxes along the side yard where I still grew tomatoes every summer. Daniel had been gone 2 years by then. Cancer. The quiet kind that creeps in slowly and takes more than you realize until one morning the house feels too big and the coffee tastes too bitter. For a long time it was just me and the quiet. I didn't mind it as much as people assumed. I had my church, my garden, and my routine. Every morning I opened the kitchen window while the coffee brewed. Every evening I watered the roses Daniel planted the year our son Ryan turned 10. Life had a rhythm. Lonely sometimes, yes, but steady. Then Ryan called one evening. "Mom," he said carefully, "Melissa and I were thinking maybe we could move in for a while." I remember leaning against the kitchen counter, the phone warm against my ear. "Move in? Just temporarily," he added quickly. "Rent in the city is getting ridiculous. And we thought maybe we could help you around the house." Help. The word sounded nice. I pictured laughter in the kitchen again. Someone else's footsteps in the hallway. A full dinner table instead of a single plate, and the quiet hum of the refrigerator. "You'd really want to live here?" I asked softly. "Of course," Ryan said. I hesitated. Melissa and I weren't particularly close. but we never had problems either. She was polite, organized, maybe a little distant, but she made Ryan happy. And after Daniel died, I suppose I missed having people around more than I admitted. Well, I said finally, there's plenty of room. Ryan sounded relieved. Really? Yes, I said gently. This is your home too. Looking back now, that sentence sits in my memory like a stone. Because sometimes the kindest words we speak become the ones we regret the most. They moved in 2 weeks later. At first it felt nice. Melissa rearranged the kitchen cabinets to make things more efficient. Ryan mowed the lawn on Saturdays. The house filled with the sounds of conversation again, the television playing in the evenings, dishes clinking after dinner. But small things began to change. Quietly, slowly. The kind of changes you notice, but tell yourself not to question. Like the way Melissa started referring to the house as our place. Or the afternoon she asked where I kept the property documents. Or the way Ryan began avoiding certain conversations, his smile just a little too quick whenever I asked something simple. At the time, I told myself it was nothing. Families adjust. People settle in. But standing on that porch 3 months later, locked out of my own home, I realized something else entirely had been settling in my house. Something colder than silence. And I still had no idea how deep it went.